Hey guys, Dave from dadsRfunny coming to you from the Madma Science Theater 9001 world. This is part 2 of a Q&A session. I'm trying to go through all these comments. I won't give out the whole concept here. If you've watched the previous episode, you know what that is. So let's just dig right in and certainly watch the whole series. You're going to find out a lot about Madma that I'm certain that at least some of which you would not know. Let's get to a question here that's a good, excellent question. We're going to work our way backwards here. This is episode 11. We're going to work back to episode 2. I've already covered episode 1. Mick Assassin Gaming asks, can you answer this? When Sass had dreams about her parents and her, the plane crashed, but wasn't that in World War II, so wouldn't she be like 50? And the answer to the question is no. Madma takes place, basically it starts around 2032, I'm sorry, 2033, and that's about I would say mid-2033, and the time frame for this crash is more like the end of 2032. The crash, if you'll remember, was I think season 8 or 9, and Sasquatch, maybe 10. Sasquatch has dreams about the fact that when she was younger, she was in a chopper crash or kind of an air car, and again, the fact that the show's in the 2030s explains a few things, because one, there's some advanced technology like the evil guy, these air cars that are like hovercraft, and then also it explains why Mary knows all the songs from 2011, 2012, 2014, 2015, because basically those are at this point they're golden oldies. So like Drake is a golden oldie at this point. Now, but the confusion I think about World War II is that if you remember when Sasquatch is crashing in the helicopter, there's also a discovery by the rest of the gang of a bunch of rabbits in an old Imperial Japanese Army base that was built in World War II, but then obviously certainly abandoned at the end of World War II, and then taken over decades later by the Lax Jerk pork company that was operating in this area, capturing Sasquatches to make their Lax Jerk pork commercials. And of course, that's a play on the whole Jack's Lynx messing with Sasquatch, which was really where all of that came from. The whole idea of having a Sasquatch character came from that company. The fact that they had messing with Sasquatch, we made, I think, effing with Bigfoot was the was the commercial that we made. Now, I got to move on, so that should answer that question. Basically, Madma takes place in 2032, 2033, but there is a part of the set, which is an abandoned base that's, what, 70, 90 years old, that would have been decayed and then brought back into service, taken over, if you will, by the Lax Jerk team. They were essentially experimenting with rabbits because they were having so much trouble with the Sasquatch as their mascots. They thought maybe we could try a rabbit mascot, and maybe even make rabbit jerky, because that's their deal. All right, moving on. Edgar has more of a statement than a question, and it's pretty funny, but I'm not going to say it in the show. I'll let you go back and look at that for yourself. Tactless Miner 24 says, will any other shows such as Madma, Flint and Steel, Pixelmon make returns? It's possible. As far as the family goes, it might be difficult. Ben being a friend, Camber being in the family, they're often about doing their own things. Mary's still here for a while. Good old Ron Smalek, who's been certainly integral to the channel as far as having lots of input and various appearances over time, was in Flint and Steel, and I would love to do that again, and I could certainly see that happening. New shows, I'm just going to say possibly 7 Days to Die, Empyrean Galactic Survival, and maybe Stone Hearth, not to be confused with Hearthstone. What is the texture pack? Scarlet Shadow asks. It's Sortex Fanver, Fanver. Sortex is Soartex. Just look it up. And that is it for... Frida Cardona asks, what will happen when Mary graduates? Madma will be over. Well, Madma's kind of over, and the season concept, as I've mentioned, is over. But certainly, once Mary graduates and goes to college, it's just going to be good old Dad, I believe. Now, let's go backward in time to episode 10. When was the first evil guy made? Perry Freely asks. And the answer to that question really depends on what you mean. Like, if you mean in real life, probably in the 2020s. or 2025. I think it was around 2025, because there is a reference, if you watch, when the evil guy reboots, his operating system turns back on, and there's some software that's copyright 20-something, 2025, and it's like the first copyright date for the software that drives the evil guy's makeup. And so that would probably be the answer. All right. And let's move on to another question. Mick Assassin Gaming asks again about the World War II crash, and we've answered that one. And Super Mindcat 101 asks, sorry if you already answered this, but are you starting Madman back up, and where are Ben and Sass in real life? Well, we've talked about starting Madman back up. There's a whole, that's what this whole series is about. Ben and Sass in real life. Ben is in the Air Force, and he's doing great. And Sass is Camber, obviously, Missy Fenstrider. She is in college, and she is doing great. She is 3/4 of the way through her first year of college, if you can believe that. I know it's amazing, but time flies. And I think that's one of the things that this show has taught me, maybe as a person, as a dad, that time flies. So enjoy it while you have it. Are you in episode 9? Sebastian Gonzalez asks, are you planning on making Madma Season 13? There will not be a Season 13. And I answer this in the comments. If you watch the MST series, especially the first 4 episodes, we talk about what we might do in the future and, you know, the complications of making an actual season. And that actually comes up again elsewhere in the episode in terms of the comments. And now back to episode 8. Mary is going to join, Lively Livy says, is Mary going to join this series? And I think she will. I think at some point I'm going to establish a base, and I want to establish a solid base. And I'm also going to make a theater, literally a theater, which is the whole point of the show. And then we're going to watch old episodes together, which I think will be fun. And I'm going to comment, do some like director's commentary about some other cool things. Because, again, I really love the Madma show, and it's been a real pleasure making the whole show from beginning to end and all the plot arcs. It's been great, and I just like the topic. And I like to talk, so it's a good combination. This is kind of a nice thing to say. I used to, well, it's maybe a bit of a grammar issue here. I used to watch your channel growing up, and I loved it. So glad I found it again. You deserve so much more subscribers, X. That's Unicorn Legacy, so thank you very much. Flames1201 Gaming says, I haven't watched this in a long time. The Memories, ... And Ryan91487, and we love these. This is actually not a question, but more of a comment, talks about different things to fuel besides lava, blathing, pyrithium, and other things like that. And you can smelt enderium, etc., etc. So lots of cool info from commenters on the FTB side of this. And we also want to mention that McSassin Gaming, we've mentioned it before in this video, him or her, mentions that there is a tribute video coming out this weekend. So if you go to McSassin Gaming, you can see it. It's very nice. And if we go backward in time now, we get back to episode number 7, where Ryan91487 mentions the Division Sigil. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, within Thaumcraft. And that's something that we'll be expanding upon once I get kind of established. Shayna Garnica 25 says you should do more Fallout videos, and we are. We've done several of them so far, and we're going to go all the way through the game. That's our hope. Swag Sheep says, you guys are the best. This ain't spam, but the first Minecraft video I ever watched was yours. Keep up the hard work. And that is it for that episode. And then we go backwards again. Gaming Bros asks, how do you install mods? And I bring this question up because, remember, with these particular packs, I'm kind of highlighting them because they're simple to install. You know, with the Technic or Feed the Beast, you don't really have to worry about the details. And so if you don't want to get particular about adding or subtracting, you don't have to. And actually, once you get comfortable, you can start doing that as well. So it's a good place to start, especially since sort of the modding community, I think, is kind of fallen off the face of the earth with the whole API drama. And, well, gosh, everything from, you know, there's the end user license agreement, the mod API, there's the bucket, all of the stuff that happened maybe a year ago. Brianna Kopp asks, please post more regular Madam episodes. And we have another commenter answering the question. Evixn, EVXNN, says, boy, this is a profound comment. Like Dave said before, kids can't stay kids forever. They grow up. So the series as a 13-episode show, or I should say the show as a 13-episode series event is done. Alex Weaving talks about something we mentioned in some previous episodes of MST. Dave, why you keep making Madma, make it when you get back home, and what they do after they get off the island, and see who they tell. So that could be an idea of what happens afterwards. We even thought it would be kind of fun. Wouldn't it be ironic if Mary and Dad make it back and they end up in like a 7 days to die nuclear war scenario? Wouldn't that be sad? After all this effort to get home, and then boom, you're right back to zombies. Gaming Bros asks what launcher to use, and it's Feed the Beast. Just Google Feed the Beast. It's easy enough. And there is also Technic Pack. All right. Episode 5, we have where can I Carrie Darnell asks, where can I read the graphic novel? And just go to dadsRfunny.com, click the graphic novel tab, and you're going to see basically sort of a prequel in about 8 different graphic novel pages that Missy Fenstrider made. Pink Galaxy Magic asks, where is Mary? I miss her. She's probably doing track or some other sport or studying. And you will see her, hopefully. We're going to do at least one interview with every character. That's my goal. All right, so what else do we have in this episode? Oh, yes. Pink Penguin 1029 says, sniff, sniff, sniffing. Wah, I miss Mary and everyone. I know they are in school, but still. Well, that's pretty much my feelings summed up in a sentence. Dad40514KY says, Dave, good to see you back. What mod pack are you using? This is Feed the Beast 1.710, and it's either 220 or 235. And what are the favorite mods? I would have to say Tinker's Construct if I had to quickly answer that question. There's so many, though. Let's see here. Episode number 4. Ashton Adams says, I miss the old mothership. Boy, I do too. And I also think it's funny when we moved the mothership in season 4 to the jungle. That was an interesting process. We used a copy of it and flew it around, literally, to shoot with the Archimedes ships. We made it into a ship and flew it around while we were filming. It was fun. Tristan Eisen says, it's an idea I had off the top of my head. Why not have a clone of Evil Genius in the plane? But as the little block, as the block character, remember Evil Genius is kind of a person, but also just a little block when he loses his body. So have the evil guy as a block, and when you land, people from Redstone are there, and they take over most of the world. They have advanced weapons. A man in a suit shows up to talk to Dad about how he admires his research and wants him to join. But they get on the plane, and they talk about how foolish they are. It mentions Splice has weakened his ability, and anyway, all kinds of crazy ideas. So I mention this because Tristan brings up a point that we've gotten tons of these ideas. People from Redstone are approaching the island an hour after Mary and Dad. The Splice builds an aircraft and hacks Redstone large-scale teleportation system. These kinds of ideas, sometimes you may say, well, these sound a little nutty, and how would you do, how would you go incorporate these into a show? Well, we've gotten comments like this, and little tiny statements, you'll be like, wow, that's a nugget for an idea. I remember someone commenting on about how rabbits were going to come out in the next mod pack, and we loved them so much, we incorporated it in and tried to fit it into the story. And let's see, African Bin says, when I was younger, I absolutely loved watching Madma videos. That was what made me fall in love with Minecraft full-time. I'd just like to say thank you, guys. We get a ton of those comments. Like I said, we've gotten hundreds of thousands of emails over the years, which is insane. Corbin Hernandez says you should visit SAS and see her culture. I think that would be an interesting idea as a topic. And we're wrapping up episode 4, now on to 3. This is a hilarious question. Sideways Moose says, I watched the first season and then stopped. Can anyone catch me up? And I'm thinking, wow, this is like a 40 hours, maybe more than that, of stuff to watch, just to watch the episodes. Christopherov says, Dave, you could always have an amnesia story. So It's set in the middle of the adventure, and for some reason they forget everything. This way the evil guy could be there. You could fit the original story into the original timeline. You could slot it in nicely. Yes, the amnesia thing is, I don't want to say it's like a crutch, but I mean, certainly it's something that is a ex machina kind of scenario, and not a bad plan if you need something to happen to continue the plot and you don't really have any logical way to put it in. It's a nice fit. All right, so we are almost done with this episode. Which mod allows you to claim chunks? Minecraft's Chosen asks. I think that is the FTB utilities, but you might have to double check me on that. Crafter Girl says, I think you should try to do a movie of how Sasquatch came to be. Great idea. Aruzu Azizi asks, how do you download mods? I think we talked about that. Probably better to stick with the launchers to start with. And Refuel Gaming asks, can you guys do another roleplay series like Mary and Dad? Possibly, but I don't know. That would be tough. That would be tough. And finally, we have a few more to close out this episode. Have Mary and Dad go back to find Little Sass, and Ben follows and they get stuck on the island again, Olivia Edmiston asks. And that's certainly a possibility. Mia Schneider asks, Ben is in the Air Force. Oh, face. He was my favorite. I think he's our favorite too. He's a great guy, and we've enjoyed knowing him over the years and hope to see him soon. I think hopefully he'll be back in town this year. Bombshell GG asks, how about something with Mary's mother, like create a story for her? This is a great idea, and we may actually do this. This would be fun. Laura Novobilski asks, I don't know if anyone gets the 9001 joke. It is sort of a Madma Science Theater, which is, of course, Mystery Science Theater 3000, right? And then 9001 is obviously from the anime. Armored Monkey Dude says, man, I don't watch Mad Men anymore, but I can remember it like 5 years ago. Yep. And that's kind of it. Obby B says, have Splice turn evil and pretend he's sending them back home, but he sends them to another dimension with scary mods like tornado mods and stuff. Like that. Like that idea. That could happen. There's other things that could happen to cause that. I really think something like Sliders would be fun, where you just go from world to world. And that actually was what inspired the 2-episode series where we went into the city, was Sliders. There's some other series like that too. Okay, so we're wrapping it up. Gravity Falls Fanatic 22 says Madma was a really good series. It would be really cool if Madma was coming back. Thanks for all of the time and effort it was putting into Madma. It was really an enjoyable series. Every time I saw a new episode coming home from school, I was really excited. And then we've had a lot of comments like that. People talking about the grabbing their milk and cookies or their popcorn bag or whatever. And I want to close on this because it's really one of the things, you know, if you think about like when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, early 80s, late 70s, watching shows like Land of the Lost, that's really a big inspiration for this show. So, all right, well, that's it for the part 2 of 2 for Q&A up to this point. This will take us through episode 12. So we've got a nice even dozen, and we'll continue to go. And like I said, season 0 will end after I have created a theater in which we can actually watch episodes. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, thanks guys for watching. See you next time.